everyone, Martina here, and in this episode we're gonna go through how to sew head and tail bands. So what we're gonna need in this episode is our text block. We need some core for the headbands, so I'm gonna use this 4mm thick leather cord. For the actual sewing, I'm gonna use embroidery thread in 2 different colors, one light color and one dark one. And I also need 2 needles that are suitable for embroidery thread. In the previous episode we finished up by adding some glue to the spine, and this has been drying for 24 hours so we can take it out of the book press. If we hadn't flattened the pages, this text block would probably be open double the size. I just want to point out that if you want to add a ribbon bookmark to your book, you should do it now before sewing the head and tail bands. It's actually quite easy to do. You just cut the ribbon you want. If you fold it in half and cut it at an angle, you get this really nice end. Seal off the end with a little flame and just glue it to the spine. That should be completely dry before continuing on to the headbands. And also make sure not to sew through your bookmark when sewing the head and tail bands. First of all, we need to cut the length of our cord, and I'll cut it a bit longer than what I actually need. So we'll cut it about there. Then I'm gonna grab my 2 colors of embroidery thread, and I'm gonna measure up about, not fully an arm's length, but a bit shorter than that should suffice. I'm gonna knot the 2 of these together, the 2 different colors, in just a very simple knot. And at the other ends, I'm gonna attach my needles. So now I have about an arm's length of the light thread, an arm's length of the dark thread. They're tied together at one end in a knot, and I have 2 needles at the end here. I'm gonna begin sewing with the darker color because that's the color that will be at either end of the headband. Right, so as I said, we're gonna begin sewing with the darker thread. And I'm gonna begin by finding the center of the first signature, not the end sheet, but the first signature, poke through. I'm gonna take it out, thread it from the outside in, and then I'm gonna pull it all the way through. I'm gonna grab my core, gonna lay it here, and I'm gonna poke the same thread, the darker one, through the same hole. And when we get it all the way through, you just tighten it like that. So it's kind of dangling right now. So I'm gonna grab the thread, which should be on the inside here. And I'm gonna wrap it underneath the core all the way around, or 1.5 times. So we're back here. Now I'm gonna wrap it around the cord, and I'm gonna hold it right there. And this is where we begin sewing with the other thread. For this first round, I'm gonna bring it around the core, 1 whole round, like that. So it goes over the other thread here. Then wrap it twice around the core and bring it to the front here. Now I can grab my darker thread and find the center of the next signature and poke it out through the spine, so it goes over this lighter thread into the center of the signature and out to the back here. Now we got the dark thread on the outside. We're just gonna wrap it up here around the core once, like that. I'm gonna bring the light thread to the other side, and I'm gonna wrap the dark one over here. Now I can grab the light thread over the dark one, not through the signature, but just over it, and wrap it once around the core. Bring the dark thread over to the other side and hold the light one right here. Now again, I'll grab my dark thread, go through the center of another signature, poke it through over the light thread and fasten it in place. And again, I'll go up and around the core hold the dark thread here, and I can come with the light thread over the dark one. Now we're almost at the end. We got our dark thread on the outside, the light thread on top. I'm gonna wrap the dark thread one last time around the cord, like that. And then I'm gonna thread it through the signature here, tighten it. Now I'm gonna take the light thread and bring it through the same hole. So we got both our threads out the same hole here. So now I'm just gonna cut these about here and make a simple double knot. Finally, to finish this off, I'm gonna cut off the end here as close to the thread as possible without cutting it off, and seal it with some glue. It doesn't matter if I get any on the thread because this PVA glue dries transparent anyway. So there you have it. It's actually not as complicated as it looks, and once you get the hang of it, it's gonna go pretty fast. Just as a final note, you can really use whatever material you want as the core of your headbands. You can, for example, use jute cord or some other type of cord or rope, and some people even prefer to use rectangular shaped cores. It's really up to you and your preferences. Also, you don't have to use embroidery thread specifically. I've just found it nice personally because it's quite a thick thread and it's cheap, and also there are so many different color variations to choose from. You can also make headbands that are not sewn but made from things like paper or fabric. In modern books, you don't usually see these kind of sewn on headbands. You usually see something that is glued on, and that's also a possibility. There are lots of different ways to make different types of headbands, but this is just one method of doing it. So in short, just practice this method and it's gonna go real fast after a little while.